so wonderful to see you again. We are in our third week of studying the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes are part of what Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount, the Sermon on the Mountain. So today we will be joining a huge crowd of people. So use your imagination a little bit. We're joining a huge crowd of people who are following Jesus. And Jesus sees all of their hurts, he sees all of their pain, and he does a lot to take care of them. He cares for them in many, many ways. He leads them up to a mountain. And so we're going to climb that mountain again. We've climbed that mountain the last 2 weeks, but we got to make it up there we got to make it back up there again so that we can hear what Jesus has to say. So do you remember how you climbed the mountain last week? I know I lifted my legs really high and I put my arms really high, but you can also, go in your wheelchair. You can ride in your wheelchair or push in your wheelchair rather. And you could use a rope if you wanted to, a rope to climb that mountain. So we're going to count to 20 again. Are you ready? So you need to climb with me. I need you to stand up and move around and climb with me, okay? All right, let's get started. I'm going to start right here, real low at the bottom of my mountain. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hey, look, a moose. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, there he is again. 13, 14. Okay, we're getting high up there. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. We made it. I hope you made it up to your mountain. I'm a little bit tired from that hike. Whew, took a little bit of the breath out of me, but I'm sure glad we made it up here, and I'm gonna go ahead and settle in. I'm gonna rest here. It looks like the moose followed me up the mountain. I'm gonna hang out here and settle in so that after that big old climb, and I want you to keep using that imagination of yours. Keep using that imagination. Let's look around to see all that we can see. So maybe you have some binoculars, some imaginary, maybe you have real binoculars, but maybe some imaginary binoculars. And let's look around. What do we see all around us? We see all different parts of the mountain. I see one of the trees. I see the moose next to me. Maybe there are some birds flying around. There's so much happening here on the mountain. There's other people all around me. Right, so use that imagination. What do you see? What do you see all around you? Now in Jesus' time, people believed that mountains were holy and special places, very, very special places to be with God. Maybe because the mountains reach up so high. Can you reach those arms up to the sky with me? Those mountains reach up so high. And maybe people felt that they were closer to God if they were up on a mountain. And Jesus told the people about God's kingdom on this mountain that we're on. And you can think of a kingdom as the way the world is set up. In God's kingdom, though, there is abundance. Do you remember what that word abundance means? We talked about it in week 1. Abundance means there's more than enough food, there's more than enough money, there's more than enough love to go around, there's enough honor and enough resources to make sure that everyone is taken care of and can thrive, even you. So let's read part of the Beatitudes, part of what Jesus taught up there on that mountain about God's kingdom and what God's kingdom is all about.
Jesus says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." When you hear the word poor, what do you think of? We often think of not having enough money to buy food, live in a home, get clothes, and just provide for daily life. Jesus saw how the wealthy people in charge of the government demanded lots of taxes, money that people earned, to run their cities. People were already struggling to provide for what they needed, like we said, to buy food, live in a home, get clothes. And when they could not pay the taxes that their government expected, they lost most of what they owned, their land, money, and in turn their honor were all taken away from them. Many of the people Jesus spent time with were poor like this, yet they also felt poor in spirit. They were sad and worried that things might never get better. They felt trapped, and their biggest fear was that tomorrow would be just like today, maybe even worse. They did not feel blessed. Maybe you have felt this way too. And Jesus tells them, "Blessed are the poor in spirit." Huh?
Blessed are the poor in spirit? Huh? How does that work?
Jesus turns what they've been taught upside down. He said heaven and the kingdom of God belong to all the people who are poor in spirit. They are the blessed, happy ones. When it feels like the rich, the ones who seem to have it all, know it all, have all the power, Jesus says true honor, belonging, and power, God's kingdom, belong to the poor, the ones without. So we can live this out with our bodies. Try clenching your hands to make fists. We often think of fists as a sign of power and strength. But when our fists are closed, we can't receive anything new. Jesus had a different idea. Open your hands on your lap with your palms facing up. This is a physical way to remind us that we depend on God and we must be open to learning, growing, and changing. It's a great thing to do when we pray. When we feel helpless, God promises to fill us with what we need, things better than we could make or imagine ourselves.
Before we transition to our next activity, I'd like to bless you. A blessing is something you receive. So open your hands like you're ready to receive a gift, and I will speak a blessing. If you receive it, take the blessing, put it into your heart. You are blessed whether you feel happy, sad, angry, or afraid.
Now, if you haven't already, I want you to go ahead and take out your coloring sheet. You can start coloring if you want, maybe get your crayons out of your tote bags, color with those, or whatever you like to color with. You could even paint if you wanted to. So there are a few questions on that coloring sheet that I want to ask you today. The first one is, have you ever had a time when you wondered if things would get better? Where things just felt so terrible, you're like, I don't know if things are ever going to get better. Have you ever wondered that to yourself? And do you know anyone who might be feeling poor in spirit? Is there anybody you can think of who might be feeling a little bit poor in spirit? And when you think of that person, I also want you to think about what maybe you can do to help encourage them. What can you do to support them, to comfort them, to care for them? Also, where do you see the gap that Jesus saw? What's the gap I'm talking about? The gap is that gap between people who are very rich and people who are very poor. Do you see that in the world around you? Where do you see that happening? Do you see it happening at all? And finally, how is being open? I want you to think about your hands being open. Remember, we talked about that earlier. You received a blessing with open hands, but we also went from clenched fists to open hands to receive something. How is being open a sign of power and strength? Sometimes we show power and strength by holding our arms like this, like I'm really strong. But how could opening our hands be a sign of power? I'm gonna leave you with those questions, and we're gonna move on to our next activity. I hope you took some time to color your coloring sheet, but if not, you can always color it throughout the week when you just need a break from schoolwork or when you're just hanging out around the house. Color that coloring sheet. And for those of you in the 2nd through 5th grade group, if you have your cardstock that's your thicker piece of paper that has a drawing on it, if you colored that, go ahead and send that into church so we can share that with the rest of the community on our live stream during worship. But now we're going to move on to our next activity, which has to do with emotions, but we're going to use emojis to share those emotions. So, you've seen an emoji before, right? They make emojis with all kinds of faces, happy, sad, angry, all the things, and everything in between. But I want you to just draw 4 basic emojis for me. First, we need a happy emoji. Grab my sheet of paper here. So I'm gonna draw my happy face. Here we go. I got my happy face, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take that happy face up here. And you can do this at home too if you want. I have my sad face. When you're sad, do you kind of have a frown? Do you cry any tears? I definitely cry some tears when I'm sad. I'm gonna put that one right there, and I need one that's afraid. What kind of a face do you make when you're afraid? You know, there are lots of different faces people make. Me, I'm going, so we're gonna put that one up on the wall too. And finally, what do you think our last one might be? It is an angry face. I'm gonna draw an angry face. Do you ever furrow your brow? You ever make your eyebrows go down like that when you're angry? I definitely do. So there's my angry face. I'm gonna hang that one up on the wall. If you wanna pause this video and take some time to make your emojis too, we need a happy, sad, angry, and afraid. Those 4 different ones. Happy, sad, angry, afraid. You can pause the video and make your emojis, cut them out, hang them on your wall in different places, and then when you come back, we're gonna have some questions for you, okay? So hopefully now you have your emojis placed throughout your wall. Maybe you have them on different sides of the room. Maybe your happy face is all the way over there and your sad face is all the way over here. Mine are just in this nice square though, so that you can see them. I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and whatever feeling you have, whatever response you have to that story, I want you to either go stand by your emoji or you can at least point to it if you want. Now, the first story I have is that, I had a birthday party and everybody was able to attend. Now, if you had a birthday party and everybody was able to go, or if your friend had one and everybody could go, how would that make you feel? For me, that would make me probably really happy. I think I'd be really happy if everybody could come to my birthday party. How about if you tried to score a goal? Have you played soccer before? Have you ever tried to score a goal and the goalie blocked it? How did that make you feel? If you've never played soccer before, try putting yourself in someone else's shoes. How would you feel if somebody blocked the goal that you were trying to make? Now, some people, it might make them really sad. Other people, it might make them angry. For me, I'd feel a little bit disappointed. We'd put that into one of those categories, I think. How about, here's another one. Maybe there was an unexpected knock at the door. Has that ever happened at your house before? Somebody knocks on your door and you don't know who it is, you're kind of surprised that somebody's there. I know when I was dropping tote bags off to some of your families, there were some surprised faces to see Pastor Emily on your doorstep. But it was wonderful to see all of you and get to do that. So how would that make you feel? Somebody surprised you on your doorstep. To me, sometimes I might feel a little bit afraid if I don't know who it is, and I'm, it makes me a little hesitant to answer the door. But say I'm feeling really lonely and somebody knocks on my door, and it's just nice to talk to somebody. So I might feel really happy that somebody knocked on my door and I get to talk to someone. There are lots of things that you might feel. So how do you feel if somebody knocks on your door unexpectedly? How about, what if your friend's cat is sick, or your cat is sick, or your dog, or your rabbit, or your turtle, or your frog? How would you feel if one of your pets was sick? Would that make you sad? Would that make you angry? Would that make you afraid? There are lots of things we might feel if one of our pets is sick. There are lots of things that we could go through to talk about all the emotions that we might feel when certain things happen. Sometimes things can make us really, really happy. Sometimes they make us really, really sad or angry or afraid. But know that whatever emotions that you're feeling, God blesses those feelings. All of our feelings, even when we don't feel good. And when we get to name those feelings, when we name them and say them out loud and share them with someone else, we can better relate to everyone around us. I know when I share my feelings with someone, it's a relief. I feel so much better because guess what? That person now knows how I'm feeling, and maybe they felt that way before too. And now we share in those feelings. We share in those feelings together. And sometimes that brings a lot of comfort and even joy to my heart. And so I encourage you to share your feelings because God blesses those feelings and gave us all of those feelings to feel. All right. So I think we're going to move on to our prayer for today.
Loving God, we open our hands, we open our hearts, and we open our minds to your loving spirit. Thank you for promising to fill us with what we need and to give us hope when situations feel stuck. We trust and depend on you. Amen.
We've talked a lot about emotions today. And so in your tote bags, there's an activity to help you think about all the emotions that you feel and what we can do with those emotions when we're feeling them. For the pre-K through first graders, you'll have an activity with 2 paper plates. And those 2 paper plates, one is to draw different emotions on. And you'll draw them in the shape of a wheel, kind of like this, but with different emotions in each wheel. Then, on the other paper plate, I want you to think about what are things you do when you're feeling sad. Do you go cuddle with a stuffed animal? Do you hug someone? Do you go just to a quiet place to be by yourself because that's something that makes you feel better? I know some people they like to walk their dog, things like that. Write down all the different things that you do to make yourself feel better in response to the emotions that you're feeling. How about if you are feeling a little bit angry? I know when I'm angry, sometimes it's because I'm hungry, so I'll go eat something. I'll eat an apple, and that makes me feel a little bit better. Even if I'm still a little bit angry, the apple definitely helps. So there are lots of things we can do in response to our emotions. For the older kids, the 2nd through 5th graders, you have something that looks a little like this, a car. Now this is the spot where you put some of your emotions. You can use those little emoji faces if you want. And this is the spot where you're gonna put the ways that you help yourself when you're feeling those emotions. Again, this is what I'm feeling. So when I feel ... when I feel sad, angry, frustrated, all sorts of things, right? Those are the things you'll put in each different triangle. Then in the rear set of wheels of the car, you'll put what you need. What are different things that you need when you're feeling different things? So when I feel ... I need ... And so this is going to be your car to keep you moving forward. When you're feeling all those emotions, this is something you can go to say, oh, maybe I should try that. Maybe that'll make me feel a little bit better. All of the directions should be included in your tote bag. If you have any questions, you can always send me an email, have your parents send me an email, give me a call, whatever you need. And I hope you enjoy these activities. Help us think through our emotions, the way we're thinking and feeling, and how we can respond to those emotions as well.